Quiet on set. I'm going for a take.
Roll sound.
Wednesday, August 29th, 2018. I took a week off from work to help Rod on his new film, Pull of Gravity. I had told him I just wanted to learn and gain experience on a set. He started including me on auditions and production calls. It was such an eye-opening experience. When the call sheets were emailed, I was listed as assistant to director. Wow, I wasn't even expecting that. I was thinking just a production assistant. I'm so grateful. I learned so much. I learned about all the details that go into shooting a film. I am inspired again to be creative. After graduating from Howard University, this was my first internship. It was a dream to work for Spike Lee, but the highlight of my time was my interaction with Spike's assistant, Rod Gales. As a young, aspiring filmmaker, I think that was the mentorship I needed. I was still a student of filmmaking, so I was just trying to exhaust all my options, not just in film, but in television. And so I veered off into the corporate world and spent 14 years in the corporate world. But I knew my passion was filmmaking. And I knew the first person to call was going to be the OVC, Rod.
Right now, what I need to do is I need to stage it, or else it'll take forever to do.
What 3 words would you describe Rod as a filmmaker? What 3 words would you use and why?
That's a good question.
He's really good. Gosh, this is hard.
There's so much to say about Rod.
My name is Rod Gales. I'm professionally known as Rod Gales OVC. I have an evolving sense of who I am as a creative, but I am, at the heart of it, a storyteller. I work in film, theater, music, visual art, but I think I'm mostly a director.
There's a certain place at the table for Rod. If there is a table of directors, when he actually decides to sit down in that place, it's just gonna be on and pop. You know how like when Spike hit or when John Singleton hit, those types of directors, they hit and people are like, oh my goodness. Wow.
His idols are Prince and Michael Jackson. Come on. If those are your idols, how can you be any different? Right? Those are creative geniuses.
Just One Question came about because I was coming out of an experience of doing my first $1 million theater production, Unspeakable. And coming out of that, I really needed to reclaim my place in the film space. Now, what I had become known for over time is doing long form shorts. Then I saw Moonlight. Moonlight is basically 3 short films that are thematically connected by the idea of this boy's growth into adulthood. The films that make up the anthology, which is Just One Question, are The Boy Elroy, Pebble Beach, and The Pull of Gravity.
The Pull of Gravity is about 2 high school friends that are navigating one of the biggest transitional moments in life, going from high school and going to college. And here, we find 2 friends at a crossroads when they realize they may no longer be friends. Like, life has led them in different directions. They want different things, but it's very hard to say goodbye to your childhood friend.
I'm coming forward on my own. It's the right thing to do.
Pebble Beach explores what happens when you come to realize that you're not the person that you think you are. I think we all think of ourselves as very upstanding citizens. What happens when you're faced with a series of decisions, all at your own hand, that really cast a glaring light on your moral character.
That Bruce Banner kicking in like a phone.
And The Boy Elroy is just about following a young kid that we've sent to outer space to study the effects of growing up in outer space on the human body, and we watch him try to reacclimate himself to a newly gentrified Harlem 10 years after he's been first cast off into outer space.
There's a terrarium, a room filled with trees, rock formations, running brook and a turbine, alternating breezes, warm and cool. Like this.
Yeah, but this is real though.
It was real. To me.
So Rod as a filmmaker is very astute and aware in terms of what are the types of narratives that are commonly told, what are the types of narratives that aren't commonly told, but also where to dig into the details of certain narratives. So Rod will shoot a drama that involves romance and sex, but he'll flip it so that the way that that's typically explored is not the core of the movie, and it pushes you to ask a lot more questions than you might in the typical relationship drama.
I think Rod exceeds extremely well in creating diverse characters in general, but diverse Black men. He does a great job at showing that we're not a monolithic being.
Rod was very open to receiving what I had to say about Zamir, and he really wasn't interested in telling me if I was right or wrong. And I remember him saying, that he trusts his actors to direct their characters and that he directs the film as a whole.
He just takes his time with his talent. I think he really loves and respects the craft. He recognizes what time and work actors have to spend to get into these characters, and he honors that.
In the vein of the care that you have for your actors, you had intimacy training for your actors.
Yes.
Can you go in a little bit about that process?
Dana, I have been doing really edgy material for many, many years. Things where people are being asked to do things that are maybe outside their comfort level or even their experience. And it wasn't until 2019, I think it was the result of the Me Too era, that the notion of an intimacy director or intimacy coordinator came. The thing I've been doing for 20 plus years, they now got a job for? I was like, oh my goodness. It's essentially about, to me, creating a space of respect and safety for your actors to walk that tightrope for you.
We got to know each other, we got to spend time with each other. Oh, and we got to go to Brooklyn and walk around through the neighborhood as our characters, which is something I've never done before. It was absolutely insane. Rod was giving us notes, and this was all part of process, but it helped so much.
Rod is probably the most honest director that I've ever worked with, in the sense that he will tell you straight up, this is the idea for the scene, or he would tell you straight up, I just want you to go up there and we'll see what happens.
If you're gonna work with Rod, be prepared to work. Be prepared to be emotionally challenged. Be prepared to be able to bring something to life that is going to make change to the world.
Just show up, be comfortable, be yourself, and trust that you've done the work.
The times that we spend editing together, I look at it as film school. I learned from Rod how to cultivate a crew. How do you find those people that are just as passionate about what you do, but also passionate about being a part of the whole project?
If people really want to be supportive of Black lives, of Black people shining, then go see this movie. Go support Black art.
There are so many words to describe Rod as a director.
Rod is brilliant, dedicated,
empathetic,
provocative.
But I think Rod is amazing, talented, and incomparable.
We're all leaving evidence of our existence. And I think when people see any of my films, I want them to know that, oh my goodness, he was here, they were here, and they've left this resonating feeling. In the same way, when I hear that gong at the beginning of Beat It, that Joker was here. When you hear that bass line in Billie Jean, or you hear a Prince guitar riff, you're like, oh my goodness, if I could ever be that good one time. That's, we just keep doing it and doing it for the love of it and creating magic and community. And hopefully you have many moments in time where you were, more than you thought you could be, as the Whitney Houston song goes. So I think that's more what I'm trying to leave than any one thing with this particular film.
Rod, how are you feeling overall?
I'm feeling amazing. It's a beautiful day. My cast is brilliantly prepared. I have an enthusiastic young crew of people who are encouraged and excited about doing the thing. I feel really good.